Before we go on to the story, first I will describe a little bit about our online contents. We have introduction plot, describe the nature of the conflict. We have a middle plot part 1, identify the cause of conflict between the co-workers. Middle plot part 2, the conflict escalation process. And lastly, ending plot, conclusion or moral of the story and how conflict can be de-escalated. So, number 1, introduction plot, describe the nature of the conflict. The word conflict brings up a picture of rage, fighting, and another negative emotion that leave individual damaged and battered. Workplace conflict is a common, and it isn't necessary in a good way. However, it isn't always a negative thing. Let's speak about a conflict and how we think about it for a minute. In simple terms, conflict is a state of mind which is you and someone else who comes into contact with you directly or indirectly try to outdo each other in researching predetermined goals. This is a time and an energy consumption activity that neither one enjoy, but each is required to engage in order to defeat the others. Conflict is a natural reaction to a perception or action that causes disturbance. It's a natural aspect of life that depends on how it's handled, can have been both beneficial or negative consequence. Inter or intrapersonal and inter or intragroup are two most common forms. So, the categories that has in this story are inter or intragroup conflict between two co-workers about a task that they have to submit in end of the month, but they don't know among them who is responsible for giving the instruction to complete their paperwork, while the remaining time is only another week. So, let's begin, shall we?
Hello Amirul, how is the paperwork progress? Are they ready yet? There are anything that I can help?
Huh? What paperwork?
What paperwork you say? Paperwork that we must submit end of this month. Are you already forgotten?
I thought you preparing the paperwork and I just help you to gather the information, and for almost a month you didn't say anything about the paperwork and thought you had already finished it.
Damn, seriously you didn't do anything yet? And why you expect that I will do it? You think I'm not busy? I have a lot paperwork that deadline is near.
You blame me? Dude, you think I didn't have any work? You should tell me 2 weeks ago that I can in charge about the paperwork. Now you blame me and told me that was my mistake.
You should take the initiative to know what you must do. You know that our manager just given me a lot of work. Know what you should do?
Now you think you should know that. Who you think you are? You think you are the boss that can order me anytime you want. Need to respect each other.
Boss, sorry for disturbing, but now we go to the middle plot part 1. Identify the cause of conflict between the co-workers. So, we have a 3 main points in this middle plot part 1. First one is a poor communication. One of the most common reasons of the workplace conflict is a breakdown in communication. This might occur due to the lack of the communication or a disparity in communication approaches. For example, a quarrel between the two co-workers over a task they need to submit by the end of the month, but they don't know how or who is responsible for delivering direction on how to finish their paperwork. Poor communication not only leads to the conflict, but lowering productivity and morale among the employees. Increased workload is a point number 2. Workplace conflict can arise when employees believe they are being overworked, and resentment can develop if they believe their burden is overwhelmed. Lastly, different personality. Employees come from a variety of background and experience, all which is influence their personality. Problem emerge in the workplace when the employees fail to appreciate or accept the variation in each other's personality. An employee, for example, may have a straightforward mentality that causes him to say whatever on his mind, even if the timing is not inconvenient. This employee may offend a coworker who does not share his or her personality traits. Conflict can arise if a coworker believes the employee is unpleasant or inconsiderate. So, you can continue to the next story.
Don't talk me about that. You should know what work that you supposed to do. Don't take it lightly. Now, what supposed we do now? The deadline in just a week.
Well, I suppose I know. You have a brilliant idea, not me. You think you do better than me, right?
You make fun of me? If I didn't ask you, maybe we are fired right now. You just hands off all the work and want to blame me alone. Please don't be childish. Be a professional.
Good. Keep blaming me. I'm the only one wrong. You the only one right.
You start it is first. This nonsense argument. We both know who is the laziest in the office, but I also have to accept this task with you.
If you think I am useless, why from beginning you accept me to accept the task if you think I'm just be a burden for your work?
At first, I just think that you has changed because the pandemic, but still it's a false hope. I'm really frustrated that you still did change.
Yeah, I'm not perfect, but it's not right to judge and evaluate who I am.
Pause. Sorry for the interrupt again. Now we go to the middle plot part 2, the conflict escalation process. The conflict escalation process divided into the 5 points. Number 1 is compatibility or potential opposition. The extension of the condition that allow conflict to emerge in the first stage in a conflict process. The presence of these circumstances does not imply that conflict will be occur. If the conflict does emerge, it is more likely due to the flaw with the communication, structure, or personal factor. Next was a personalization and cognition. We discussed how conflict only exists if it is perceived to exist in the previous section. Conflict is forming when it is established that possible restraint or incapability exists and both sides are aware of it. Third is attention. Attention serves as a bridge between the people perception and emotion, allowing those involved in a possible conflict to choose how to respond. In order to respond appropriately to a statement or action, one must deduct what the another person meant. Many disputes grow as a result of the one party assuming another bad intention. Number 4 is a behavior. A conflict manifests itself in a form of behavior which include a comment, action, and reaction of the parties involved in the conflict. The activity may overt attempt to collect information from another party, but they have to stimulate character that distinguishes them from the true intention stage. Lastly was outcome. A conflict's outcome can be functional or dysfunctional when conflict is constructive. Functional outcome occur. It may be difficult to recall instance where the individual disagree and debate and the outcome is positive. Consider conflict as an antidote to the group think for a time. If members of the group wish to reach an agreement, they must all agree before a viable option have been considered. That isn't going to happen because of the conflict. When the group is on the verge of the agreement on something, one of the members will speak out and argue for a different point of view. The resulting disagreement could have a variable outcome. Alright, now we will continue the story.
Please stop this nonsensical argument. No, we must work together so that we can finish our paperwork. I really need you to cooperate with me. Please throw aside other problems, just need you to focus this problem. I'm sorry if my word hurt your feeling. I should not say that to you.
Okay, now what we're supposed to do now? Me too. I'm sorry that I can't control my anger.
I understand. Don't worry. I'm regret to what I'm saying to you. So this we supposed to do. You gathered all the information last year until now about all the costing production and all the profits received by the company during these 2 years.
What would you do?
Me, I will compile all the information that you give, and at the same time I will summarize all the credit and debit, costing production, and all the annual expenses of the office for employee welfare. And I hope that you will give it to me in 3 days.
Okay, I will finish the task that you given to me. I hope you don't get mad with what I said before. Anything else that you want to add to the task for me?
I think that all. I hope in future that if we work together, both of us can manage our communication so that this didn't happen again. Also hope that you at home help that you are always healthy at home.
Thank you. You too. I think I will inform you.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam.
Now we go on to the ending plot, conclusion or the moral of the story, and how conflict can be de-escalated. So, this scene that shown above that how the both co-worker from the start escalate their problem by pointing finger at each other. This is due to the weakness of each where they're not sensitive to the task given. In fact, they are also unable to control their feeling to the point of hurting each other feeling with the harsh word. However, at the end of the story, we can see how they can put aside all the problem and work together to solve the problem they face, and at the same time they also can identify the root of cause of their weakness and ensure that this will not happen again. Everyone handle conflict in their own unique way. Some people shy away from their confrontation at all costs. Others conflict head on, perhaps too acceptably. Conflict is the distraction for me, so I prefer to resolve it as quick as directly as possible. And not everyone thinks the same way I do, which is something I have to remember all the time, especially when I'm in the middle of this agreement. So, how conflict can be de-escalated? Whenever you directly involved in the disagreement or not, it is your responsibility as a leader to help meditate and find the solution to the best of your abilities. With that in mind, consider the following 4 suggestions for the next time you find yourself in a conflict. Number 1. Take a deep breath and take a step back. When an issue comes to your attention and you gather the necessary information, take a step back. Not for too long, just long enough for it to fade from your memory. This is particularly important if you're directly involved in the fight. For me, the freshness has a frequent result in impulsive decision based on too much emotion. Instead, try doing some work, meditating or reading something. This should help to alleviate the problem first thing. If you can't do anything else to do, consider writing down to the conflict details. Putting this down on writing can be cathartic, even if does not sound like taking a step back. Number 2, empathy should be practiced. When you directly involved, this can be difficult. During a fight, it is critical to the practice empathy. Try to put yourself in everyone else's shoe and see the thing from their perspective, even if they are angry with you. Attempting to see myself through the eyes of someone who is dissatisfied with me forced me to address some of my flaws. So it can be uncomfortable. Knowing this information helped me prevent future confrontation, and it is of course essential for the personal growth in general. If you still believe in one person incorrect afterward, attempting to comprehend everyone else sentiment and attention will aid you in determining when the content genuinely lies and just how to approach it most effectively. Number three, consider the implication. When a conflict starts, it is something the result of the larger or more significant one. Perhaps a recent conflict about the deadline revealed a habit of tardiness, or perhaps one employee appeared to be the center of the number workplace problem. If that's the case and something greater is brewing, you should take a different strategy than you would for the one-time occurrence. Before you begin the problem-solving process, you will need to acquire more information and possibly speak with the others. Before you start talking to the people involved, be sure you grasp the background and the state. A long-term issue necessitates a long-term response in a relation to do that. Lastly, take a preventive measure. After a conflict has been settled, it's critical to evaluate and figure out how to avoid a recurrence. Conflict stifles productivity, therefore, the more you can avoid it, the better. This is another situation when writing things down, even if it's just for your personal record, is beneficial. When doing so, strive to be as objective as possible to while keep all aside in mind. What caused the problem? What was the main point of contention? What was the outcome of the situation? Each argument can serve as a teaching opportunity for both you and your staff. So, that's all from our group today. Thank you for lending your ears.